Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome back to our channel once again. And it is my hope and prayer that you are still enjoying your festive season and that you are prepared for next year. Ladies and gentlemen, if there's one man who is going to shape the 2027 presidential elections in the Republic of Kenya, then that man is none other than Rigathi Gachagua. And Rigathi Gachagua is definitely going to dominate the 2025 politics in the Republic of Kenya. The truth of the matter is that the 2027 presidential elections is going to be determined in 2025. And Rigathi Gachagua is going to be one of the people who are definitely going to determine that election. And there's one thing which is also very clear now, that number one, Rigathi Gachagua is dethroning Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka as the face of opposition. Earlier today, Rigathi Gachagua addressed the media from his Nyeri home, which is going to form the basis of this analysis. So clearly, Rigathi Gachagua is now ahead of Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka as far as opposition politics is concerned. Number two, Rigathi Gachagua has identified William Ruto as the enemy. And Rigathi Gachagua is taking the war to the doorsteps of William Samoei Arap Ruto. So of late, there's been a lot of abductions, illegal abductions in the Republic of Kenya. And the government has tried so hard to explain to Kenyans that they are not behind those abductions. And Kenyans are wondering that, a government cannot claim not to know the people who are abducting its citizen. In that case, the government should actually resign. So Rigathi Gachagua today picked a subject which was really making Kenyans very angry with William Ruto. I want you guys to listen to Rigathi Gachagua's speech very briefly, 2 or 3 minutes. Then I'm going to explain to you guys why Rigathi Gachagua issued that particular statement.
In this administration. And if this unit is not dismantled, we'll be giving the name of the building and the full names of that officer and his cousin in this administration. And these people are not answerable to the Inspector General of Police. Your guess is as good as mine as to who is the commander of that unit. Let me emphasize that killing our children will not quell the anger of the Kenyan people. People are very angry with this administration. Abducting young people is not a solution. You must address the cause of the disquiet, of the discontent. Why are people aggrieved with this administration? That must be dealt with. Abducting these children and killing them is not a solution. And I must remind my friend and brother, Dr. William Ruto, that since independence, no government has ever gone for children. This is the first administration in the history of this country to target children for repression and persecution. Even the colonial administration, brutal as it was, it never went for the children. And the question the president must address is simple. Why has everybody turned against you and the administration in only 2 years? That is what you need to interrogate instead of persecuting these children. Again, he must understand the law of nature. Nature abhors vacuum. When you swallow the opposition and there is nobody to hold you to account, when you capture parliament and other institutions of oversight, since nature abhors vacuum, other formations will emerge to oversight you and hold you to account. And that is how the church has come up to hold the government to account. And that is how these young Kenyans have come out to hold the government to account. In the unfortunate event that these children were to be muzzled and silenced through death and abductions and other extrajudicial methods of silencing dissent, some new formations will also come up to hold the government in check, because nature abhors vacuum. So the amount of repression that is going on in the country is unparalleled, it is unprecedented, and it needs to come to an end. I have just learned we have a prayer meeting in Shamata Ward in Nyandarua tomorrow, where I have a farm. The residents of that ward normally meets once in a year for prayers to close the year. We have prayers tomorrow. And the police commander there in that county is intimidating leaders to cancel those prayers, that they will not be allowed to take place, that they need a permit. I want to tell the county commander in Nyandarua that you don't need a permit to hold prayers. Again, is this repression by this administration. Even if you stop the people of Nyandarua from holding prayers, that will not change their political views of what they think about this administration. I want to say the prayers will go on. I'll be in attendance with the residents of Shamata. And if the police want to come and stop the prayers, they can go ahead. But that will just enrage the people even more. And those tactics of using police to stop prayers were tried by the previous administration. And the president knows how it worked out. You just agitate people more. You make people more rebellious. There is no need for police to interfere with people's rights of expression, of association, and the freedom of worship.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you paid very close attention to that statement by Rigathi Gachagua, several things are very clear. That Rigathi Gachagua is going to deal with William Ruto ruthlessly. And that Rigathi Gachagua is not going to spare William Ruto any bit.
Nataka niulize wazazi, kila mzazi tafadhali, hawa watoto ni baraka kwetu, tumepatiwa na Mwenyezi Mungu. Kila mzazi achunge watoto wake, tuweke kushughulikia watoto wetu. Sisi kama serikali tutafanya sehemu yetu, na yale yamesemekana mambo ya abduction tutakomesha, ndio vijana wa Kenya waweze kuishi kwa amani, na vile vile wawe na nidhamu na wawe wangwana, tuweze kujenga Kenya tukiwa pamoja. Tumekubaliana?
But what was the objective of the speech, that scathing attack on William Ruto today? Number one, Rigathi Gachagua is trying to position himself as the voice of the voiceless. And if you paid very close attention to what he said, Rigathi Gachagua was very clear that if you try to suppress the opposition, if you swallow the opposition, then it means the citizen will have to speak for themselves. And Rigathi Gachagua is now stepping out to speak for them. So for me, the fact that Rigathi Gachagua is now positioning himself as the voice of the voiceless is something which is going to endure him to the people. So that's number one. Number two, it is also very clear that Rigathi Gachagua's strategy is that he wants to be the face of the opposition. And Rigathi Gachagua is succeeding because Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka has failed. You see, Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka even spoke about these abductions, but the delivery of his messages is weak. Remember the way Rigathi Gachagua delivered his speech when he addressed one man called the NIS director, Haji. It swept the entire system. That's the exact thing which he has done. So Rigathi Gachagua is strategically dethroning Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka as the leader of the opposition. Number three, I think Rigathi Gachagua is also keen on sustaining this anti-William Ruto's narrative. Because remember, William Ruto engineered the removal of Rigathi Gachagua. And Rigathi Gachagua promised to teach him a political lesson. So the only lesson he can teach Ruto is to sustain the narrative, because for William Ruto, he believes that Kenyans will forget a lot of these things. So the only option for Rigathi Gachagua is to sustain these narratives. So any narrative which he can sustain is really digging in. Like on this particular matter, I'm 100% sure what Rigathi Gachagua has done is that he's really digging in on this particular matter just to sustain that narrative. And number three, Rigathi Gachagua is trying to align himself with the Kenyans. If you go to Twitter, Kenyans always express themselves on Twitter. And Twitter has been trending over these abductions. And Rigathi Gachagua is aligning himself with that. And he's been doing this for a long time. You start from the day of the finance bill, he aligned himself properly. Even on the impeachment, he aligned himself. On all these other issues, Rigathi Gachagua has been trying so hard to align himself with Kenyans. And that's why most Kenyans are now feeling free or safe in the hands of Rigathi Gachagua. They are even forgetting that Rigathi Gachagua was one of the enablers of this regime. And lastly, I think Rigathi Gachagua is also leveraging on the rage of Kenyans against William Ruto. If there's one thing which I've failed to understand, is why Kenyans are so angry and bitter with William Ruto. You talk to any Kenyan anywhere, they're very angry and bitter with William Ruto. Rigathi Gachagua has mastered that Kenyans are angry and bitter with William Ruto. So what is he doing? Sustaining this kind of narrative, joining where it matters. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm heading to the village right now. Tomorrow I'll be in Siaya game for that dowry thing. And hopefully it's going to be good. It's going to be well. And you guys, thank you so much. We'll be together. Until next time, this is Makwiny.